Dallas, number one, their defensive front completely overwhelmed the Chargers' offensive line. When you can do that in any game, you win. Secondly, I thought Dak played about as well as Dak has played in some time. And yet, they almost gave it away. 11 penalties, that odd coaching decision, end of the first half. They butchered the tush-push, that weird special teams blunder. Once again, the Cowboys, completely dependent on talent. The details, the execution, not very good, except Dak. It's why they can often struggle or get blown out when they face a Philadelphia or a San Francisco that has as good a talent, but they're better in that execution stuff. It's not college football where the biggest brands have the significantly better players. Dallas almost gave this puppy away. But they face the NFL franchise, especially under Brandon Staley, that leads the league in giving stuff away. Blown coverages, blowing it on red zone 4th and shorts. That's what the Chargers, it's their brand. It's not Dallas's brand. It's the Chargers brand. Troy Aikman even called out the Chargers for a blown coverage at the 10-yard line. How you can blow a coverage at the 10, I don't know. There's no space. The Chargers can do it. Now, let's look at the positives. First of all, aggressive game plan, lots of Dak running and moving very early on. I like that a lot. Dak had become so dependent and so much a pocket guy. Let him move as much as you can. And I thought a lot of that was schemed. A lot of it was on him. But they clearly told Dak, get out and move. And the pocket sometimes did deteriorate. A lot of his best stuff was Dak on the move. Second thing, Brandon Cooks is alive and well. Finally, they get Brandon Cooks involved in the offense. It had become very dependent on C.D. Lamb. But he showed up and making a couple of big plays. That is, you got to have two dudes. You got to have two dudes because they're not getting a ton out of the tight end position right now. And the third thing, without Trayvon Diggs, the secondary held up and did a good job. Now, Justin Herbert, completing almost 70% of his throws this year, missed a couple of open touchdowns. He does not do that. He did not play well, broken finger on his left hand, off, relentless pressure by Dallas, got hit early, moved around a lot. It felt like he was throwing things a beat early all night, and a lot of that is because he had to. It should be noted, Dallas's biggest play, despite how well Dak played, let's be honest, it was a 9-yarder that turned into a 60-yarder off a shocker whiff tackle by the Chargers. That was the big play. This Cowboy performance, it's not going to beat Detroit. It's not going to beat Miami and Buffalo. It's not going to probably beat Philadelphia. But Dak played really well. The D-line dominated the Chargers. They made big plays when they had to. So the 11 penalties, the special teams blunder, the tush-push whiff, McCarthy at the end of the half. In the end, it didn't come back to bite them. But we really don't know how good the Chargers are. It was a home game for Dallas, mostly 65 to 75% fans. 3 years under Brandon Staley, no team blows more coverages, leads, and third and longs than the Chargers defensively. So a couple of big plays for Dallas, win the game. You feel good today? It was a, quote, road win. Good things coming up, but the schedule also stiffens. You got Philly, you got Miami, you got Buffalo. There's a lot of stuff happening for Dallas. But today, you come out west after last week's debacle and humiliation. It would be nice if Dallas could tighten up the screws on details and execution, but I've come to terms with what Dallas is. If you single block Micah Parsons, they'll beat you. Brandon Cooks now, somewhat active, that's good. Dak, confident, healthy, moving, very good. They're never going to be the most buttoned-up franchise. But in most games, outside of a Niner game, a Philly game, you can argue they've got as good a talent, and if Dak plays well and the defensive line dominates, which they did last night, they can win big games. So for all the critics of Justin Herbert, and I didn't think he played great last night, we'll talk about that in a second, ask yourself one question. Take away your opinion right now. One question. Do quarterbacks get aided by head coaches? Do head coaches matter for quarterbacks? I don't know. Jared Goff was a bust. And then Sean McVay arrived. Alex Smith with Singletary, Alex Smith with Harbaugh, two different players. Tua with Brian Flores had a passer rating of 87. With Mike McDaniel, it's over 105. Peyton Manning, more to Dungy. And basically almost every quarterback Kyle Shanahan has ever had. Justin Herbert has had Anthony Lynn fired and Brandon Staley, who Charger fans would like fired. And yet, Pro Bowl Offensive Rookie of the Year, playoff appearance in the AFC in a division with Mahomes, and he's 500 with Anthony Lynn and Brandon Staley. Last night, running for his life, broken finger left hand, no run game. He lost 20-17 in a virtual road game to a team that's won 24 games the last 2 years. Mahomes got Andy Reid and stability. Justin Herbert, week 2 out of college, your starting kid, behind the lowest-ranked O-line in the league. A head coach who is over his head. I'm sorry, folks, but he checks every box. He was a 4.2 college student, biology major. Big, smart, power arm, mobile, hungry, and humble. There are no boxes he doesn't check. But this is what we do with quarterbacks. I was writing a list today of the top 10 quarterbacks in the league. It's a loose list. It's not necessarily in order. But I wrote down 10 quarterbacks who right now you can argue are the 10 best in the league. Let's take out Patrick Mahomes at number 1. We've got a major criticism for all of them. Josh Allen at 2, can't win the big games. Reckless. Joe Burrow, struggling to stay healthy 3 years in a row. Trevor Lawrence, under 500 and has regressed this year. Justin Herbert, where are the big wins? Lamar Jackson, well, I don't love him in the pocket, can't stay healthy last 2 years. Matthew Stafford, didn't win without McVay and can be reckless. Jalen Hurts, small and regressing. Jared Goff can't move, and Tua's got a concussion issue. If you take out Patrick Mahomes, we don't like something about all of them. The Chargers' brand is blowing leads, blowing games. And here's a guy that got him to the playoffs in a division with Patrick Mahomes in the tougher conference. The GOAT wasn't mobile. Tom Brady's the best quarterback ever, not mobile. There is no perfect quarterback. I didn't think Herbert was great. They don't have Mike Williams. Outside of Keenan Allen, Quentin Johnson, the first-round receiver, appears to be a whiff. Outside of left tackle, they couldn't block anybody for the Cowboys and had no run game. And for the last 3 years of his career, all of them, regardless of where he plays in L.A., home games feel like roadies. And he always takes the hit. Here he was after a pathetic, an uninspiring performance by the Charger O-line. I really like the way our offensive line fought out there. They had 6 holding penalties. Or was it 7? It matters. He's got an Eli Manning quality. When they win, he hides. When they lose, he goes to the podium and accepts the loss. This franchise, what would they be without Herbert? The defense, with the defensive head coach, 3 straight years. And big salary on the defensive side, 28th, 27th, 29th. And you don't like Herbert? Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.